Hello everyone, welcome to this 13th part of the course where we'll work on the post-production of this image. Throughout this stage, we'll try and make the most of our map. The first thing we'll do is enable this layer that you don't have, which is a grid, like the one you can usually see in the maps, and, well, this will help quite a lot the map to be more realistic. In order to do this, we can drag the guides down or right to create horizontal or vertical lines. Then we can create a new layer, and using the brush tool and the shift key, first we click on one side and then holding shift we click on the other side. This way we'll create a longitudinal line. We can do it this way or with the plugin the way we saw before. I'm going to delete this layer that I created, and well, then basically we can find other methods to do this. We can simply Google grid PNG and use one of them in our map. Well, now we can take this layer and manage opacity in order to make it more or less visible. We're going to place it below the continents so it only affects the sea, and this way the continents are free of this mark. Now the next step is to take all the elements we have, right-click, and let's convert it to a smart object, okay? This way we have more control of what we're going to do. Now we can rename it and start setting the numbers of the different latitudes. We can start with 0 and add or subtract in 10-degree steps. I insist this is completely free and you can put another kind of numbering or icons. In this case, we're going to do a text layer and write 0, 10, 20 in the left side as in the bottom. Then we'll see if it looks good, and if it doesn't, we'll just take it away. Okay? It has to look kind of like this. Now we create a group and place all these layers inside. Finally, we rename it. Well, I personally don't like how these numbers look, so I'm going to delete them. Then on the other side, I took out some other components, like some animals, some texts, so the map doesn't look too crowded. This is also a matter of taste. I also like it to be seen, maybe because when doing the course I wanted you to see lots of examples, but well, you can also do more minimalist things like the examples that I showed you at the beginning of the course, okay? And well, now regarding to the frame composition, you'll see in this case that I made a manual frame in this color. Here you have other examples we can do, more simple. But well, in this case, what I did was later from Freepik, as you see. Well, these are the vectors I downloaded from the website, different frames. See? There's banners, more vintage style frames. Then I also downloaded these compass rows. And I also use these ornaments as well. And generally, everything you see, you can use it. As I'm saying, I did a more elaborate frame. As you see, it's different frames, only we joined the layer. First, this one here, which was a frame. And then this yellow part, I put some paper texture on. And then I used these vectors, which I placed on each side. And these little dotted lines, which I insist you can find it all in Freepik. Besides these, I also use this particular vector, also from Freepik, to place it over it, and using the luminosity blending mode and 55% opacity, give it a fine finish. As you see, it's more elaborate than the one we saw before. And well, now it's only a matter of deleting the parts that can obstruct the view of the frame. For example, here. And well, we basically would work now with this frame, which is a bit more complex than the previous one. I'm going to simplify these layers and convert them in a smart object so we can work more comfortably. And well, now we're going to work on the textures, so we darken the map and make it look old. Now let's Google paper textures. We can Google old paper, grunge paper, etc. We can find loads of examples of paper textures from Freepik or from Google itself. So we have to find one that we like and adds this old vintage look we're looking for to our map. We place the texture in our document, scale it, place it always on the top of the map, but below the frame. And now we can start trying out the different blending modes using the up and down arrows in order to see the effects of the different blending modes. This step is also totally free, and you can find the look you like the most. In this case, I'll leave it in multiply. I'll turn down the opacity and the fill so it has this tone. Notice we added a bit of dirt to the map. We can keep adding bit by bit different textures so we generate this surface, which is more similar to paper, or make the map look older. We keep lowering the opacity and observing the results each blending mode Photoshop offers generates on our map. Anyway, now we'll use the plugin Nik software in order to give some touch to the map's color. Okay, once we have all these, let's duplicate this layer and right-clicking on it, we'll select Rasterize Layer. We do this because we don't want this layer to be a smart object. This way the file will be lighter. Let's head now to Filter, Nik Collection, Color Effects Pro 4. This plugin is quite effective and extensive, and it applies diverse filters to our images or photographs. We have a lot of filters on the left side, and then on the right side we have the modifiers for these filters. We can start, for example, with the vintage effect, and in type of film, select the preset you like the most. In my case, I choose number 16. Now, from this panel, we can manage elements like vignette, warmth, brightness, or intensity of the film. Using these options, we can lower the intensity of the film or raise it if necessary. Once we're happy with the results, we can click the Add Filter button so we add the filter to our effect. That's how we add the filter to our effect. Then we have, for example, this other effect, Detail Extractor, which augments the map details. If we tweak these parameters, we make the details more noticeable. If now we click in this icon here, what we do is a checkpoint, which lets us do a kind of general effect. If we lower the opacity, we lower the opacity of all the effect in general. From here, we disable the effect. See the difference? We lower the opacity and we don't notice it, but if we raise the opacity, we see the effect in a general way. Now we can go to the Indian Summer filter, and what this one does is set warmer tones. In this case, I'll select Method 3 and I lower the opacity of the foliage. Now click Add Filter. Now we're going to look now for another option. Image Borders, what does is it adds a frame to our photography. In this case, I'm going to select Type 2, And from the three options below, we can make the frame bigger or smaller and more or less sharp. I'll set it like this so it looks like a card. Add filter. And let's look now for another effect. In this case, the old photo filter. This filter is very interesting because we get a black and white filter and also lower the color saturation. See, I'm going to apply a checkpoint and I'm going to lower the general effect so it leaves these like a more desaturated tone. So we get an older look on our map. I like the way it looks, so I'll click accept. Another interesting option, which I'll quickly explain, is Silver Effects Pro 2. This option lets you make modifications in black and white. So we can select a black and white filter, of which we like the look of it, and click accept. Another interesting option we have is Analog Effects Pro 2. What this one does is simulate different photographic filters or lens effects. And I'm going to uncheck all the boxes because what I want to do now is create my own filter. Click here in Create Camera Kit. And we're going to enable the Dirt and Scratches option to start adding dirt and scratches to our map. Notice we have a lot of options and the intensity slider to make them seem normal or inverted. There's a menu with different effects like dust and lint, other more grunge and dirt effects. Click accept, and we do the same with the color map. This way we keep adding dirt to the map and making it look older. Finally, we erase the layers we don't want, and we keep the maps we like the most. With this, we're finished working, and now we can convert these to a smart object or rasterize this layer. In the last lesson, we'll learn how to place our map in a mockup, and this way present our work. So, see you in a bit.